welcome to the seminar on technological advancements, detecting certain challenges and the need for technology and electronic systems assisting people for better health. As explained in the previous seminar related to the health tracking and assistance systems and the need for better health in order to live happily with technology and without technology. But the present society is such that we need technology to assist the human beings for proper living, and the challenges are immense. So there are variety of challenges, but we want to now see the systems, electronic systems, some of the systems used in some tracking and visualization as well as communication purposes. Then we will move to the challenges and what systems can address the challenges of the human society. We had seen that satellite networks are immense nowadays, even though it was the presence of one satellite that can cover the whole world, but we have got a lot many satellites nowadays, and each country has got some frequency bands allotted to them so that they can freely utilize the satellite transponders. And it is not that a particular country can only stick to its own satellite. They can also use other countries' satellite. It is possible, provided they purchase the frequency bands and frequency allotment. But it is not very easy because the location of the satellite is very important. We have the stationary satellites. We don't have the orbiting satellites. We have the stationary satellites. The stationary satellites are going to rotate along with the Earth's position, so they appear to be stationary. But if we have the movable satellite and rotating satellite, then it is possible that the same satellite is being shared by two or more regions of the world. And this is what I had said, that one satellite is enough for the entire world. Now we will see some of the proposed systems wherein the satellite channel bands can be utilized by a person to see what is happening in other part of the world, and the records, namely record means the voice recording of a particular event that is happening in some other part of the world can be well taken by the use of the satellite system. Shown is one type of system. We can see now we have one type of system wherein this is a SDR system. In the SDR system we have the satellite which can be selected, and we have the display, and we have the rotators, and depending on this particular information that is processed from a personal computer, on selection we can obtain the satellite data, that is the audio data of an event that can be recorded remote. This is called as a remote sensing and remote tracking, but we cannot always rely on the remote sensing and remote tracking with a small piece of device at hand. So we need a personal computer, and we need satellite offices for this particular purpose. There are dedicated satellite offices. For example, the Life Insurance Corporation of India has got dedicated offices for this purpose, and we have this satellite tracking data. You can see when the satellite is no longer viable and the satellite does not become visible, then this is not possible. The data recording is going to stop. So the satellite must be visible for this particular reason. So this is one criterion for defined radios. controlling the satellite recording and obtaining of data from the satellite system. It is a very big achievement, but now we also want to see, this is a defined system in personal computer, so that we can select the priorities, and we can choose the options and then go on with the satellite recording. That means it is called as an offline recording. It is not a live recording as in a video camera function, but it is an offline recording. But we may think that it is live. This is how the satellite recording happens. It is offline. There may be a time delay between the time of event and the recording which we obtain, but what is very important is the record data. We are not bothered about the time when it occurred, but we want to hear the data. Hence, this is one type of system which can assist that particular process. So for the satellite, earlier we had the multiplexing, we had the analog communications combined with the digital communication, but we always use the analog communication for faster response and good reliable transmission. Even fire safety networks uses analog transmission, VHF frequency bands. They do not rely on the digital channelizing paths, rather they rely on the analog band radios, so that it is very reliable at the emergency. But nowadays the multiplexing has slowly converted itself, it has advanced into many paths, and we have different types of multiplexing process which were converted into a process called as a multiple access. Multiple access technique is used instead of multiplexing, whereas the multiplexing also is combined with the process called as a polling. So first the station is polled, and the protocol of access and data transfer follows the polling. First polling process happens, and then the protocol for the data transfer occurs. This is how the access technique uses the polling as well as the data transfer protocols to its maximum efficiency, we can say. Then we have the peer-to-peer systems. When we say peer-to-peer systems, we want to communicate between devices. We don't want to communicate through a particular mediator. We have a mediator, then our data has to go through a mediator. From the mediator, the data has to pass to the destination. So we want to communicate directly between the source and the destination. This is also possible use in some peer-to-peer systems. The peer-to-peer systems are advantageous in the case of emergency. One peer-to-peer system is the VHF tracking of the fire detection system, and it is normally used in the fire stations across the world. Then we have the secondary systems, what we use, what you have seen in the options on the screen of choosing a satellite and choosing a recording mode was a secondary system. The secondary system is made by the SDR. The secondary systems are the best systems in giving a end user interface than the primary systems. The end user interface is very good and apt in the secondary systems. More often we can think that the satellite data is all infrared, but it is an image data which is infrared. But the type of satellite, it is going to be a navigational satellite or weather satellite, it is going to be a remote sensing satellite, it is going to be polling satellite, it is going to be air traffic navigation aid satellite, it is going to be a GPS satellite, then it is going to be a communication satellite, and it is going to be a tracking satellite. So there are many types of satellites, but we cannot say that looking at structure of a satellite shown in the internet. There are pictures of satellites shown in the internet. It is not the physical and appearance of the satellite which classifies the satellite into its types, but the function it does. The satellite can perform many functions. They are called multiple purpose satellites. So these satellites are classified based on time needs, based on the demand of a particular section of the society or the government or a particular place or particular station. Depending on the demands of the station, the satellite can switch over its task. This is the requirement of the satellite transforming itself into multipurpose, we can say. Now we want to address a specific issue. Earlier I had spoken to you about the mercury contamination in the soil, and we can see that most part of South India is contaminated with mercury. It is not the fate of the particular land, but the soil contains a lot of mercury by nature, and more additions of mercury through electronic dumps, electronic wastes, e-wastes, bio-wastes, and then combustion waste, fuel waste, all these are going to bring the mercury from the second layer to the first layer of the soil. If it is in the first layer of the soil, it is going to evaporate and it is going to cause air pollution. We have seen such a challenge, but more than this, why this couldn't be addressed? It is due to the lack of electronic systems and tracking systems and proper infrastructure, you can say. Even though we have advanced infrastructure, we can say the best infrastructure we have seen, but the proper planning of such infrastructure is a very difficult task. Planning right from the start is a very difficult task. We can integrate all the infrastructures, tracking, but we cannot plan right from start. We have to work with the available systems. We cannot create our own systems from scratch. That is the problem. Because of this, the awareness had not been created due to the procurement of available systems and non-creation of systems from scratch which was specific to the particular land. Because of that, we face a challenge now. We can see now what is the challenge we face. We face a very big challenge now. You can see the inland security is at risk to 2020 year. So why it is being said the faced challenges even in electronic systems, even in tracking systems, VHFs, UHF bands, etc. Are these. You can find the application of electronic systems, high frequency mobile systems, and then tracking systems in only three main platforms. One is the hospital management system, another is a rehabilitation center and service centers, another is a zonal tracking. Another is zonal tracking, you can see, which is used for magistrates, which is used for higher courts. So these three particular sections are advanced. They procure advanced technologies rather than an individual who procures mobile phone, laptop, or computer systems. Mobile phones, laptop, computer systems are personalized systems. They are not going to interlink all the events which are happening in a particular area, and it is not possible like a news channel. The mobile phone, personal laptop, or computer system is not a news channel, and it is not a specific news channel addressing a particular problem in the area. So only three systems as encircled here, what you have seen, are procuring the electronic systems. But the electronic systems they procure is not going to create awareness for the individual, because they consider that it is a security reason for which they are not disclosing it. But they have procured older systems compared to the problems faced in the society. So we can see that our mobile phone is very advanced than the systems which are used in such tracking purposes. You can very well see that through naked eyes. But what is the requirement? What is the need for addressing such issues? We have to see now. The hospital patient care centers or asylum centers are going to deal with accident victims, poisoned victims due to snake bites or some insect bites, and they may deal with acute long-term viral diseases like tuberculosis, poliomyelitis, hepatitis B, C, etc. That is advanced stage of hepatitis, the permanent liver damage or liver transplantation, and they are going to deal with sexually transmitted disease victims. Also, they are going to deal with the fire disaster victims whose skin transplantation is very essential. Cartilage and but a second layer of skin transplantation, muscle transplantation is going to happen. So this is a bigger risk for the hospital maintenance system to track the people. The people admitted in the hospitals are certainly in a worse state. They are not going to be in a good state for a long period of time. For a long period of time, they have to be tracked and they have to be serviced, not just for the money they are going to pay, but for the sake of arresting some bad effects that they may cause in the society. Already they are victims, but due to victimization, they may not spoil the other layer of the society which is going to grow with the technology. Hence, this poses challenges for the hospital systems. Second is the rehabilitation center for war crimes. You can see that war is everywhere, and the war in one layer of the society or one part of the society is going to push a lot of refugees. The refugees have to be handled by some other government or some other country. This puts a heavy load on the rehabilitation centers of war crimes. But what problems the inhabitants or the refugees or the persons who are in such centers may cause or may take to themselves is cranial radiation. The cranial radiation from such persons is immense, and they are subject to muscular dystrophies and some dystrophy disorders, which is going to create some reactions in them automatically, even though if nobody is going to give them a trigger, the automatic reactions in their body is going to be immense. And we have also seen one case called as epilepsy. In other words, it is going to affect the brain, and it is going to give sudden impulse to the hands and the fingertips, so that if they catch hold of some object at some point of time, they will not be able to release the object. So these kind of problems are occurring with the persons in the rehabilitation centers. We have seen some videos of internet as well as some real life practices. These are not very new, and the challenges are increasing day by day. Then we have the zones which are prohibited by magistrates for certain reasons. So you can see that there are certain pollution zones where the wastes are being dumped from many places. For example, the wastes from the leather factories, wastes from industries, then the wastes from garbages collected from households and residential areas, then the company wastes and the underground sewerage which has to be treated before it is being drained into the seas. The sewages are drained into ocean only, so they have to be treated before they are drained into seas. So they are considered as prohibited zones by magistrates by giving certain orders. But you can see that if one passes through such zones, he may encounter with the radiating pollutants, then miscible pollutants and high frequency radiation. His body may turn into a radiating and absorbing alternating black body. The black body is going to absorb radiation, it is going to radiate radiation also. But persons working in such zones or persons mishandled in such zones are going to be acting as black body radiators, and they are going to absorb not only these radiations, but they are going to absorb the microorganisms, namely bacteria, viruses, and their health is going to be affected. So three sorts of challenges have mainly ignored the use of electronic systems and use of satellite systems and frequency systems in arresting the movement of people to these zones, and also the arresting of movement of people from these zones. This is a big problem which the entire zone is facing now. This can also be applicable to other part of the world, namely United States, Brazil, or even Indonesia, Burma, Myanmar, or countries in battlefields like Kosovo and countries closer to Russia or in the Middle East. Problems for all regions of the world are alike, because individual wants peace. Individual does not want to study any particular subject of interest voluntarily. Individual wants to live peacefully, and individual does not want to concentrate on these set of nonsenses, but the citizens of a particular zone are forced to study advanced technologies, because they have to be aware of the causes, possible causes and the effects of technologies used for these purposes. It is not for individual purposes. An individual can live with mobile phones, laptops and computers. He need not concentrate on other technologies, but he is forced to do so for these reasons. So the governance has got lot many pressure. Even though individual need not bother about the pressure, the governance has got pressure, and the pressure is shared by the individual or citizens who are living in the particular zone under the governance. So we need to be aware of all these technologies for our better health, and how these particular technologies have increased the needs. We can see now. You can see UHF port radios. Their UHF port radios are very old. They are ultra high frequency port radios, which are used for communication between peer-to-peer systems. You can see this. They were very reliable. For example, you can see the traffic police mobile bike, which used this technology for some time. Nowadays, the technology has migrated to the 700 and 800 megahertz, wherein the traffic police controller has got a mobile radio with himself. So earlier technology was based on the UHF port radio, which was very good, but it had got a lot of noise and interference due to the terrain. And then we have the VHF omni range antennas, which are used for some mobile communication between one part of the area to another. These were reliable. VHF omni range were reliable, but why these were used? These were used for higher amount of data, higher band of data. UHF port radios were able to communicate the voice data, signal data, but VO or VHF omni range were used to broadcast, or they were able to communicate the video data or the image data. We cannot say video, as we see crystal clear videos in mobile communication. The mobile communication networks are advanced. They have got lot many modules, but VO or VHF omni range has got the image interchange between one area to another. And then we have the infrared SAT data networks. This is very popular nowadays. The particular communication in emergencies and the normal surveillance has got infrared SAT data networks. The SAT data networks take the infrared pictures from the satellite, and they are going to post-process it in the Earth station. It need not be done in the satellite space station, but it is going to be done in the Earth station, and then they are going to decipher what the particular data is going to deliver information about the particular land and the changes in the land. So one example is the Weather radar is continuously monitoring the weather from the upper skies, and it is going to deliver the data to the earth station, and then we are going to get the weather data to the weather station inland, so that the weather station inland is going to inform to the people, that is we, that we are not going to go into the seas, or we are not going to go outside due to severe weather conditions. This is obvious across the world. Now, one particular unique use of satellite you can see in the LIC, Life Insurance Corporation of India, has got repeaters for the satellite Sampark. The satellite Sampark is going to handle the life insurance data of individuals. It is very important that the insurance data is made permanent, and it is going to track the individuals for the entire lifetime. This is very essential, and LIC has implemented the satellite Sampark with some 15 offices across the country, but it is still in the younger stages. It is not enough with the 15 offices, because the population is huge and number of LIC customers are immense. The LIC data servers are increasing day by day. Even though they are migrants, people are migrants from one place to another. Say people may stay in one state and then they will be transferred to another state due to some government jobs or private jobs, or they may even go to foreign countries abroad in visas and may stay there for 2 years or so. This LIC Sampark data is very vital, and it needs more and more satellite networks which is going to track the individual for lifetime. So this is very important. This is possible only with repeaters, even though we share only one dedicated satellite channel for this purpose. The more repeaters in more stations can make possible the maintenance of a huge amount of data and live data. When we say live data, every 1 year it is going to be updated, but in the year, the movement of persons from one place to another is also going to be vital for the particular institution, because the institution has to track that a person A is going to be living in this state, and the person A has traveled to abroad, and is staying there for around 2 years. Then the person A is going to return here. This particular data has to be tracked by the Life Insurance Corporation, because it is going to deal with the life of individuals. Then we have some best example of the tracking system with the console interface electronics, which is used in Texas. Texas is a place in the United States. The control interface electronics, we have the data systems which are retrieving some information from satellite, but the console interface electronics have been implemented in the United States so that they can view the particular information in image format or the user interpreter format. This is assisting the users so that they need not study about how to decipher the data from the satellites. It has been given as a end user interface in the United States. So it is very important that this particular innovation has been appreciated. Other than this, we are always equipped with the following devices used in microwave communication. When we take the satellite communication networks, we are not going to omit all these particular devices. All the conventional devices used for analog communication, microwave communication, have to be integrated for the modern satellite communication. Also, we have the combiners, duplexers, filters, jumpers on the ground wires, and these particular devices are physical devices. They are not imaginary devices. Even though SDRs are in picture, SDRs are going to share the particular satellite information. They are going to post-process the information according to the user format. But these devices are physical devices which are to be mounted in the particular device which is going to receive the information from satellite, and it is going to uh, give the information to the repeaters. The repeaters regenerate the particular signals and going to strengthen the weaker signal. So these are some of the challenges which a particular zone has to address, because we don't have the capability to do all these as a single individual. A single individual cannot perform all these tasks, and he can create a particular one-to-one communication, as seen earlier in band radios, where the radios for one-to-one communication were done by some enthusiasts, electronic and radio enthusiasts. In the early days are going to communicate their information through band radios in kilohertz, but nowadays it is not so easy. We can use the same system, but the noise which is going to be created by the system is going to be vital for the networks. We have lot many networks, lot many frequency bands. For example, we have the 700 800 megahertz frequency band, which is a GSM, which is used in Asia and Europe. In Europe and Asia, we are using the GSM band 700 800, and we also have 700 800 which is going to be uplifted to 1800 and 1900, which is closer to the Wi-Fi band of 2400 megahertz. So this particular band separation is encouraged, but the noise which is going to affect these bands are going to be immense. When we take the advancement of such systems, only in Asia and Europe they are used in GSM bands, but in America, in certain countries or counties, these 700 800 bands are used for emergency purposes and tracking the person's movement, which is going to be vital. So a person from either a prohibited zone cannot move outside. A person cannot move from a social zone into a prohibited zone. This is being tracked by 800 700 megahertz, and moreover, very low frequency communication has been effective in tracking movement of some vehicular communication, a movement of vehicular masses, you can say. They are not communication, they are masses. That means there may be loads or tankers. The tankers are using very low frequency communication for tracking purposes inland, but this particular low frequency is going to be converted after data collection, and it is going to use the microwave communication over the 800 megahertz band. So when we say microwave, it is going to be in gigahertz. One may wonder, one may use the 6 gigahertz or the 12 gigahertz for satellite communication, but it is not so. It is going to use the 800 megahertz using the cellular network, and then the particular vehicle is going to be used. Vehicle is going to be tracked by the use of GPS, global positioning system, satellite system. So GPS may be assisted system. That means it can be assisting the particular movement of vehicle along the infrastructure of a particular country, and it can also track the particular vehicle from satellite stations. This is the advancement of technology related to the systems. But as I said, the challenges, three challenges, particular in South India, are very vital, which has not been addressed by the experts still, because of the unplanned movement of population across the country. The movement of population across the cities, across the town, is always unplanned, and it is very difficult to suppress the individual, even if technologies are advanced. Suppressing the individual of the freedom given to the citizen in traveling to places, traveling to areas, and exploring certain things, and exploration of thoughts and education. We can see educationists who are traveling to many places, and You can see the um, freedom of speech, political persons moving from one place to another for the purpose of meeting. So these are happening every day. We have no time that one can track all the persons, all the VIPs, or one can track all the portable systems or even mobile devices or communication devices day and night. This is not possible. So the unplanned movement is going to result in certain disaster, technological disaster, and because we are not having that much electronic systems, automated electronic systems and technological systems, we are happy now that this is not seen as a disaster. But when we employ or deploy such systems, we are going to see the disaster very clear. And this is a big challenge around 2020, and I do not know yet. As an individual, I cannot speak much about the disasters rather than getting educated on the technological development. Thank you very much for watching.